Hey, what's up, you guys? So we have a 2017 Subaru WRX STI. We're gonna do the front pads, rotors, and the rear pads and rotors. These are Brembos, so I'm just making a quick video of how to do Brembos because a lot of people are really scared to do the Brembo brakes. But usually these aren't hard at all. Just people make them really what they're supposed to be. There is a special tool you're supposed to use to push the pistons back in, but there's a trick I know that I'll teach you guys, so that way you guys don't have to buy the special tool. So yeah, I'll just start. So you want to start off by taking off the wheel. As soon as you take off the wheel, as you can tell, it's not like your regular brake system. You have these pins, and not all the Brembos have these pins, but to first start off, you got to take off these pins individually. So it's like a regular pin system. It comes off just by pulling it out, you see. So do both. And as soon as you take off both, there's the two. The reason why it has these pins is so it prevents these pins from coming off. These pins basically hold your brake pads into place. But like I said, I mean, all the Brembos are different because not all Brembo systems have these pins. So next up, you want to knock these pins out of here. One way you can do it, a lot of times you push this in and it relieves the pressure, but as you can tell, it's not coming off. So you just grab a screwdriver, a hammer, tap it, and it'll go out. As soon as that comes off, it usually comes off. Do the same thing on the bottom. And like I said, these pins come off. So that's one, and that's two. And this plastic thing, just save it, because a lot of times when you buy new brake pads, it might come with new pins and a new pressure shield, but a lot of times it's not the case. The caliper bolts, one down here and one up here, and it's a 19 millimeter, and they come out fairly easy. There's one. And then to make your life easier, and I know a lot of people don't have it, but it's a good thing to invest in, is power tools. So. Easy. Quick and easy. It's two, and then it comes off. As you can see, brake pads are free. As you can see, that's a Brembo caliper. That's 4 pistons. So you don't want to leave this laying on the floor because this brake hose is really delicate, and if it's just hanging, it's gonna just tear the brake hose. So next up, let's take off the rotor. A lot of times these are a pain to take off because they're really stuck on there. But you just grab any decent big hammer like so, and just hit it a few times. A lot of times I don't recommend hitting it over here because when you do, it breaks and then this is stuck either way. So you can hit it here. Just be really careful with the lug studs, because if you smack it with the hammer, when you go to put the lug nuts back on, it's gonna cause it to cross thread and you're not gonna have a good day. So you see, one hit comes off. Okay, after you got the rotor on, you want to grab the caliper again and put it on. Like I said, a lot of times this rotor moves a lot. If that's the case, all you got to do is put 1 or 2 lug nuts and just thread them back in there, and it will hold it back into place. So after it's not moving anymore, you want to get your 2 bolts and line them up with the caliper. There's one, and then there's 2. And you want to be careful with these caliper bolts and make sure you don't cross thread them, because if you do, what happens is a lot of times that I've seen a lot of people they force them in there, like if they're too tight. And when you do that, you mess up because you either strip the threads, because this is aluminum. You either strip the threads or you know, you just destroy it. So like I said, you want to make sure it goes in by hand first. It's smooth and easy, as you can tell. It is going in really easy by hand. The bottom one too. After you a couple threads that went in easily by hand, then you grab your tool and you tighten it the rest of the way. And then you tighten it by hand, and you want to make sure you use a regular ratchet, not a breaker bar, because if you use a breaker bar, you're gonna snap those things off. Just like that. Now the top one, just like that. And then this is a trick that I'm telling everybody, because when you use a special tool, you're supposed to do it when the caliper's off the car. You grab a simple, it doesn't have to be this big, a flathead, and then two flatheads, but in this case I have a breaker bar, a pry bar I mean. You pry one side, and as you can see, the piston returns. And as you can see, on one side it's all the way in, and as you can tell on this side it's not. After you do one side all the way in, you want to insert one of the new brake pads and just line it up decently. After that, you go here, and then you press the other one in, and as you can tell, this one comes up, so that's where your other flathead comes in. You hold this one, and then you push this one in. There you go. And then your other brake pad goes in. After you have that done, like I said, this new the new brake pads came with the new pressure thing. You wanna just put a little bit of grease on these things, just to be safe, just so they have grease on them. On both of them. So there's one, and there's two. You could clean them up, but I mean, like I said, it doesn't hurt to just do it like this. And then to install this back on, you have to hold this here. You insert one like so, and like I said, you see how it just clicked in there? It's gonna click in there, and then you insert the locking pin, and it just clicks in. Like I said, when you put this in, as you can tell, it sits all the way in there and just stops it, so you know it's locked. I mean, you can give it a little tug and it won't go anywhere. So this one's locked into place. Then you go and insert your other one, and it's fairly easy. You just push this in, and then a lot of times you will have trouble trying to put it back in. And what you can do is just tap it with a hammer, and you can see it went in. And then with your fingers, just turn it. As you can see there, line up the hole, and then you insert your other locking pin. There you go. So as you can see, everything's on there, and that's how you do the front pad and rotors on the 2017 Subaru STI. This works for 2015, 16, and 17. Also on the the WRX is different, sorry. Only on the STI, because the STI has Brembos. I'm also going to show you how to do the rear, because the rear as well has Brembos. So let's go through the rear. As you can tell, the rear is a little different from the front. As you can tell, it's a little smaller. The reason for that is because the rear only has 2 pistons in the rear, and the front has 4 pistons. This one only has 2, 1 on each side, and in the front it has 2 on each side. Reason for that is because most of your braking power is in the front, because all the weight gets transferred to the front when you're braking. So it's roughly the same thing for the rear. A lot of times older cars, they only have Brembos in the front, so the rear might be different. But like I said, this is for 15 and up STIs only. But roughly Brembos should be around the same thing. So it's the same thing, you know, just there's pins right here as well. Just grab each of those pliers, pull them out. Here's one, and there's two. So both pins on the side. And then now, same thing, you tap it. And then you pull out each pin. There's one. And then there's two. And like I said, if you were just changing pads, you could just take off the pads here. You see, here's one, and there's two. And you can just switch pads, but a lot of times I recommend always changing pads and rotors just because. And
because they look like this.
And so like I said, it's the same thing. There's two bolts in the rear. So you want to look at the rear real quick. There's one right here, the top bolt, and there's one down here. And these are usually kind of tight, so I kind of broke them free already. There's one. There's two. And you can see the pad's already off, and the caliper's already loose. So like I said, here's one bolt, and here's the second one. And a lot of times, if you find yourself having a hard time breaking them free, or they're really hard, be really careful. And one thing I recommend you guys is to, if you're having a hard time taking off the bolts and they're just really stuck on there, like you feel like they're about to snap, go back and forth, tighten and loosen until like you start feeling it breaking free. Because usually what that means is either one of two things: either somebody cross-threaded it, which means they forced the bolt in there and they messed up the threads inside, or it's just really rusty. I had a Hyundai Genesis that the owner was really scared to do his own brakes because he thought the bolt was gonna snap, and he thought I was gonna have to rethread the caliper. But it wasn't the case. It was just that it was really rusty. So like I said, you know, if you're scared of that, you know, just be really careful. If not, like if you're not comfortable, just, you know, take it to a shop, because if you snap that bolt, you're gonna have to tow it to wherever. Or if you know how to rethread it, then, you know, you could do that, because this is what I'm talking about. Like I said, these threads are really delicate. As you can see, they can get messed up really easy. So like I said, put this aside, and then now you want to take off the rotor. So grab your hammer. So you want to make sure of it, especially if it's a manual or automatic, either way, where it has Brembos in the rear, or just in general rotors. You want to make sure the handbrake is not up, because if it's up, when you go to smack it, you're going to be fighting this thing, because the e-brake, the emergency brake basically is there's pads on the inside of this rotor, which is this right here, and it locks it when you press on when you hold the e-brake. So you want to make sure the e-brake's down, which in this case it wasn't. And as you can see, makes your life easier, because a lot of times people just start smacking it thinking that it's really tight on there, but it's not. On the old rotor, you want to take off that inspection boot. It's this one right here, and put it on the new one. This is just to be able to see on the inside, you know, to make sure everything's fine. And then to install it on the new one, it just literally goes on there. And then like I said, if you have a problem where you feel like it's like coming off, put lug nuts on there, but in this case it's not, it's really on there. And next up, you want to reinstall your caliper. So put it back on there, top bolt, and like I said, hand tighten them first. And spin it probably 5-10 times, and that one's on there. And bottom one,
so 5 or 10 times.
5 or 10 times, whichever one's better. Especially if you're using power tools, just because, you know, the power tools are really strong, so when you go to hit it with the gun or whatever, it's gonna cross thread really bad. one.
Is that the one that's a different size? Which one is a different size?
And then the bolt on this one is a 17 millimeter. The front's a 19 millimeter. So yeah, just keep that in mind, just so you can have it ready. And same thing in the process in the rear as in for the pistons. Like I said, just push one in. That one's pushed in, and then install a new brake pad. Install the new pad on there, and as you can see, this one it's out, so the flathead, push it in, and you install the new one. So there you go. So like I said, you don't really need that special tool. Just need 2 flatheads basically, and after that you want to install the rear pins. And then this one didn't come with a new bracket, so you have to reuse the old one, and that's not a problem. A lot of times, you know, kind of is. And same thing, you want to grease it up. You know, it's not a major thing. Just put a little bit of grease just so it slides in. The other one as well. This one's a little bit harder just because it's hard to get this bracket in there, and there's not enough space. So, and like I said, you have a hard time because the brake pad, like I said, this basically holds it. The other one holds it in the center, but this one holds it on each side. So, you know, just try not to fight it a lot. And as you can see, this one, it's in there. So now the top one, and just to make life easier, I know I said, you know, just push it in there, but make sure this hole where the locking pin's gonna be, make sure that it's facing outward so you can just slip it in without having to move it. And like I said, just wiggle it in there, put pressure on this, and as you can see it slides in. And like I said, if you have a hard time, just tap it with a hammer, and it's in. And then you want to grab both of your locking pins. There's one. And there's 2. As you can see, they're on there. They do move side to side, so that's fine. You know, it doesn't matter how they are. So as long as they're pressed in there and they won't come out. And that's how you do the rear on a 15 and up Subaru STI. So that concludes the video. You know, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's not that hard to do. It's pretty simple, easy actually compared to regular brakes. I did not use any special tools for the video. Like I said, the only thing I really use maybe is my power ratchet, but like I said, you don't really need that. It just makes life easier. But all I really used for the video was 2 flatheads, pry bar, hammer, screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and that's all you really need, to be honest. So like and subscribe. If you have any comment, questions, or concerns, just let me know in the comments below. Let me know any ideas, what you guys want me to show in my videos. But as far as right now goes, you know, I'll try to upload a little bit more. It's just a little bit hard right now compared to what's going on. So yeah, thanks guys.